The Brat Show, inspiring every woman to be bold, relevant, addictive, and transformative.
Welcome to The Brat Show. I'm your host, Kathy Barthel, also known as Bratty Kathy. So if today's guest doesn't inspire you and me, there's no hope for us. Real estate broker Bet Ursini's life has been a roller coaster, and she's still riding it. From divorce to bankruptcy to cancer, she's risen above it all. In 2023, to celebrate her 90th birthday and 50 years in real estate, she's taking her family of 26 people to Spain and Morocco. Whoa, right? And that is not the first time she's taken them on a trip somewhere in the world. Just giving you a little hint. So Bet, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, a brat is a woman who is bold. She really knows who she is, what makes her special, and she knows what she wants to do in the world. You are a successful broker. You're a world traveler. My goodness, the Amazon, Africa, Japan, India. My goodness. Were you always that woman who kind of knew who you were and what you wanted to do? Or do you think life has, made that more clear? What would you say?
I think I started out that way. I think I started out with determination. I know I got in a lot of trouble as a child and didn't always do what I was supposed to do and didn't always follow the rules. So I think I knew who I was pretty early.
That's amazing. What can you give us a little example of how you kind of maybe didn't follow the rules?
Well, I was supposed to. I have two younger brothers, and quite often I had to babysit them. And that would be when the teenage dance was going on at the high school every weekend. So I was supposed to stay home and babysit. And as soon as my parents left, I went to the dance. Most of the time I got home before they did. But once my dad's car passed me on the way home, and I thought, how am I going to get into the house? I'm in big trouble. They got home before me. And then another time I'm on the dance floor, and finally, Mr. Wonderful asked me to dance after all the time I had been eyeing him. I looked up, my father standing in the doorway. He grabbed me by the ear and took me across the floor and home. How humiliating was that? So that was my teenage days, that I constantly got in trouble. My father was just a normal father, he was looking after his family, but I wasn't having his rules.
And so you were the eldest?
Yes.
And so the three of you, a girl and then two boys?
Yes.
Do you think that had anything to do with it? Like you were the first one out the door, you were,
I don't know. Usually the first ones are a little more responsible.
I think you've made up for that. Oh my goodness. I love it, because this is the thing about being a brat, right? Oftentimes we have that in us, that sense of ourselves. But, oftentimes with girls, we hit that age of say 8 to 12 to 13, and we lose some of that oomph. We lose some of that drive. We start to get self-conscious. We start to think, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I, thought I was, or I don't fit in. Did you ever have a point where that kind of dipped? Or did you?
Not in my teenage days. I was a bit of a fighter. I was fighting for, I wasn't following the rules. So I'm not doing this. I don't care if everybody's doing it. I'm not doing that.
Did you have any role models, any women that you knew at that time, whether it was in public roles or in your family?
I had an aunt that I thought was quite a lovely lady. She was a businesswoman, and but she wasn't a brat. I just admired her, and actually, I think too she gave me a lot of confidence because she was always telling me how smart I was, how good I was. Like she encouraged me a lot to to do what I was doing. Like she kept endorsing what I was.
Yeah, that's a hugely important thing, isn't it? To have somebody who's kind of a mentor, officially or unofficially in our lives. And we pick them up at different times in our lives, don't we? They don't It's not just one time. They kind of pop in, I think, sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah. One thing that you said that I remember before we did this recording today is you had mentioned that there are no accidents. And this is a great segue talking about mentors and so on, because I remember you saying that when you found yourself a young mom with 5 kids, you know, when you were first divorced, and I think they ranged what, from 2 to 13 in age?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then you had a friend who suggested, you know, because you were trying to figure out, how am I going to support them? What am I going to do? The friend suggested you go into real estate, and they went a step further and they signed you up for the training. So I'm wondering, would you say that is an example of there not being any accidents? What do you really mean
Oh,
by
that was incredible. He turned my life around. You know, I did not want to go into real estate. I was whining about having 5 kids, and how am I going to even take the course, let alone do real estate?
Yeah.
And he actually, he called after he tried to convince me. He laughed with his shaking his head and his hands in the air, and called me the next day. He says, "I've signed you up for real estate. You better show up or you owe me big time." Well, I did not want to disappoint this man. He seemed to have confidence in me that I did not have at the time. So I went for it. Well, it changed my life. In fact, to this day, I'm still writing him letters, thanking him. And I said, "You're probably getting sick of me thanking you all the time, but I'm not getting sick of being grateful." Because
Wow.
my life could imagine a woman with 5 kids doing real estate and traveling. Like, who does this? He gave that to me. He walked in the door and gave me that opportunity. He opened a door for me. I would never have done real estate. No way.
And would you say is an example of one of these things that isn't really an accident? We tend to think of things as just, well, I'm just lucky. He just happened to do this. But
how did I get to be a decent realtor? Like, how did that happen? I didn't know if that was there. I didn't know I had that. He did.
Yeah. This is the thing, it seems, isn't it? It's, you know, you could call them mentors, you could call them, some people call them, you know, kind of like an angel on earth, you know, someone just pops into your life for a period of time and makes that difference, gives you that nudge. And then, you know, you're on a different track that you never expected to be on.
Yeah, somebody just walks in your door and takes the time to care and open the door for you. Like, amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that you're still in touch and sending him letters all this time.
I know, I just did recently. In fact, he said, like being 90 and 50 years in real estate. And I said, "I'm thanking you again, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Don't be surprised if I meet you in Spain." I said, "Oh my God, that would be awesome." He said, "Don't count on it, but don't be surprised if I meet you at the villa in Spain, July 2023.
You just gave me shivers down both arms.
Me too.
Down to my knees, and it's still going. Wow. I hope well, I'm sure you're going to video all of this trip. Yeah. So that'll be something to have as a memory. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So this is the other side that we're touching on here with regard to those dips, you know, when we think of your life as a roller coaster, some of these dips like divorce. You know, there's this misconception sometimes that a brat is somebody who's always shining. You know, she's always full of courage and confidence, and she shines like a million suns. But there are those times when we're living in the shadow of the sun and we're regrouping, you know, after a blow, after a disappointment. And the other time that's so striking, well, you know, of course, there are several significant spots in your life when things have happened that have been somewhat you know, taking you off of a certain path. And I think back to the early 90s when you were 61, and most people, as you said, at that age are thinking of maybe retiring. And then due to the market crash, you went bankrupt. And I think you said, what, you only had really your car left?
All I had was my car.
It's unbelievable.
I lost everything. Everything.
Yeah.
At 61, everything lost.
Yeah. How did you ever get out of that and regain your confidence?
I don't know. I know I took that summer and I went back to Spain, spent some time with my friend in Spain. And I took a course in Spanish. Oh. And I remember in the morning, I would sit out. She had a home in the mountains in Spain, and I would sit out on the mountain and I would watch this eagle fly down into the valley and back up again, down into the valley and back up again. I thought, that eagle's talking to me. I've got to pull it up. I've got to get out of this. I've got to get out of this. I have no choice. what's a woman going to do with nothing but a car in her life at 61? I've got to get out of it. I don't know how I did it, but it happened.
Yeah.
Eventually, it wasn't overnight. It was a struggle, a long struggle.
Yeah. I think, you know, we talked before about the idea of having a vision to draw you towards whatever it is. Did that kick in? Were you trying to use that as a...
I built a vision board. I believe in vision boards, and I've followed vision boards for a long time. So I got some dreams up, got the board going, and got some dreams happening. Got a little perspective on a happier life, and well, it happened.
Yeah,
it came to me. It
well,
happened.
Go ahead.
I took the family to Africa.
After you got back into real estate again?
Oh yeah, I never left real estate. I just struggled. I stayed in and struggled, but I wasn't getting anywhere. But finally it broke open for me. The market broke open and things started happening again. And I did some travel and some skiing, and then I was eventually able to take the family on a safari.
Wow. And you took them to Africa, and you took them already to the Amazon, is it as well?
Yes, I went to Africa. I took them to Africa when I was 80, took them to the Amazon when I'm 85, and now 90, we'll go back to Spain.
And Spain is an interesting thing, right? Because I was thinking too, after you were divorced, and about a year and a bit, a couple of 2 or 3 years after, you took the family to Spain. This was another really interesting, I mean, talk about, it makes sense that you were a brat from the time you were a kid and did what, I mean, if it was unheard of in those days for a woman to go into real estate, a young woman with 5 kids, then what must it have been like in terms of the pushback that you might have gotten to take them all to Spain and live there for a year and a half?
Mm-hmm. Pushback. I got a lot of pushback. Everyone thought it was not a good idea. Why would you do that? In fact, the lawyer who was looking after my divorce, he said, I think you should go into therapy. And I said, well, maybe I'll look at that when I get back, but I'm not doing it right now.
Wow.
You know, I sat down and thought of, first, poor me. Well, you know, I got kids, no job, no money coming in, poor me. I can't. Nobody's inviting me out anymore with 5 kids. Who invites a woman with 5 kids for dinner? We used to get all kinds of invitations, but nothing's happening. So I'm thinking all the things I can't do. And I thought, wait a minute, what can I do?
Yeah.
Then I started getting this idea of Spain. Well, I had been in real estate for a year already. And then I made so much money, I couldn't believe it. It just happened. And I went to my friend that put me in real estate, and I said, I'm going to Spain. And he said, why? I said, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, well, why don't you just go for a couple of weeks? I said, no, I'm going to move there. I'm renting the house and I'm going to move there. That's what we did.
But I suppose ultimately he probably backed that idea too, because I'm sure by then, if not before, knew, you know, what strength of character you had. And when you made a decision, you made a decision.
Well, yes. And anyone that said that it was not a good idea. And I said, look, the plane flies back too. I mean, if it doesn't work out, I can come home. I mean, I don't have a house to come home to because I've rented it, but I can rent something.
Yeah.
Like what's so bad about going for a year or two?
Yeah.
I can come back.
Exactly. Well, this is that brat spirit. I know this is right for me. And, you know, thanks very much for the feedback, but this is what I'm going to do anyway. And I'm doing it.
Right? I got so much negative feedback. Actually, when we got to the airport and I'm looking back at the kids all behind me, I'm thinking, maybe I am crazy. I don't know. Am I? Maybe I am making a mistake. No, plane comes back too. Forget it. Let's go.
Exactly. And some of your kids stayed on and went to university in Spain.
Girls stayed on and went to university.
I hope you're enjoying the episode. If you are, go ahead and click like. And while you're there, click the subscribe button as well so you don't miss another episode. Now let's get back to the show. You're the poster girl for brat, I tell you, Bet. Seriously.
Actually, I like being a brat. To tell you the truth, I like being a brat. Right? My mother spent most of her time shaking her head at me. And she said, you're not going to do that. Please tell me you're not going to do that. I said, yeah, I am, Mom. Please don't do that. I said, Mom, it's okay.
Do you think, I think sometimes, you know, there's an expression that people, I think it was the actor Jim Carrey in a commencement address that he gave, talked about how sometimes people will they will cloak, their fear in a sense of practicality. It's not practical, it's not logical to do such and such, for all these logical reasons I've lined up over here, when really perhaps they're projecting their fear onto us. And, we kind of go into our head and we rationalize something when we're not in touch with the fact that I'm actually just feeling some fear here and I got to work through that. Did you ever feel that, what was your mom like? Was she sometimes fearful for you, do you think?
My mother followed all the rules. She did everything right. People don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Nobody does that. That's all I heard from Mom. So I think that instilled this brat in me, because I'm saying, what do you mean people don't do that? Who's making up these rules?
Exactly.
I don't follow the rules. I follow my rules. I have rules, but they're mine.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the principles of being a brat, which is truth over rules every time. Your truth, right? My truth. I do have rules. I do have rules, but yeah,
I don't follow other people. Sometimes I think they're ridiculous.
Exactly. And this is, the other thing about brats is that they are addictive for all these reasons, right? They own who they are and what they do. And then they create relevant, meaningful experiences for your clients, I'm sure, for their family, their friends. And all of that makes them addictive in the sense that those people around them, they just want more of you. They want that spirit, that energy, that inspiration that they get. Brats leave people wanting more of who you truly are, because you're very grounded.
I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that, how does it feel to have that effect on people? Because I don't know, what feedback do you get from people? Do they say, oh my God, I can't believe you do this or that, or that you're going to Spain in 2 years? Or
I'm really not aware of that. I know people think I'm off the wall a little bit, but I don't really think about how it affects them. I just think of my mother going, oh no, not her again. What's she doing now?
How far along in your adventures did your mom watch all the things you've done? Did she, I imagine, saw you very successful in real estate, saw you going on some of these trips?
Right up. Well, yeah, she, I guess she passed away about 5 years ago. So she was aware of all these things I was doing.
Yeah.
She came to Spain when I went there with the young family. She came. She wasn't too happy about me being there, but she did come over. My mom wasn't a traveler. Mm-hmm. She had never traveled a lot, but she did come to visit me while I was there, which was a big concession on her part, because she didn't like this idea at all.
Yeah. Are your brothers as much like this as you? Have they been inspired by, oftentimes, like we say, the younger kids look to the eldest one?
I don't think so. My one brother was very successful in business. My younger brother lives very quietly. He does like he's not big for travel. Mm-hmm. No, not really. They're just different.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? I always wonder, as you've said your aunt was an influence. Do you think you're a throwback? Did you have other relatives other than your aunt, like further back in the family history, who kind of went against the grain, that?
No, I don't know. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know.
You're one of a kind.
I think it was part of the package, Kathy.
Yes. Now, another one of your values is family, and the importance of that being really central and keeping a strong family. How did you balance that very solid, very admirable value with being this independent woman who was out there hustling? Because I know I have friends in real estate, and it seems like you're always working, weekends. How have you balanced that?
Well, I think that was the beauty of real estate, and that's why I was able to stay in it. Yeah. Because I could always plan my appointments around a hockey game or a teacher and parent night, or it wasn't always an appointment that was in the middle of my appointment. So I could always work it in. I always managed to be home for dinner. I might have to go back to the office for a couple hours. I would sit everyone down for homework, run back to the office and then back home. So the family bookings came first, and then my business bookings. It may have affected my business in some way, but when the children were young, the appointments with the children were more important. I did miss some soccer games with my daughter, she'll tell you. My youngest daughter was ticked off because I missed some soccer games, but they were relentless. They were playing all the time. They were playing Thanksgiving. They were playing all holidays. They were playing all the time. I couldn't get all the games, but she was all let down. But no, I just put the family appointments in my day timer, and then I work my business around that. It was easy. It was easy.
You know, I think that's the thing. I think, and this is something that I think is really part of being a brat, and that rootedness in yourself, is that you're coming from the inside out in everything you do. You're not out here sort of going, oh, I got to do this. I got to run there. I got to run there. And kind of giving up your power to a bunch of other schedules, right? You're saying, this is my priority. These are my boundaries, and it's got to work within these. You know, and I think that's something that oftentimes we as women in business, we tend to forget. We're so maybe eager to please, eager to get the client, eager to get the business, that we put all the rest of our life on hold or make it fit into the business. I mean, sometimes one has to, but you know, it's very admirable, especially as a single mom, that you were able to balance all of that.
For the most part, it was pretty easy to work that schedule out. Sometimes there was conflicts and appointments, but for the most part, to plan ahead, and things would work out, and it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I couldn't have handled a 9-to-5 job. It would have been far more difficult. This was easier.
Exactly. That's true.
The time was mine.
Yeah.
And family came first, and my real estate appointments came next. And I think that was part of my success in real estate, because it was never my main. I was only doing it to get out of the house. I wasn't doing it to make money. I wasn't trying to talk somebody into doing anything. I was just doing it to get out of the house. And
interesting.
I wasn't driven.
Is that because you achieved a certain amount of success? Because in the early days, you would have had to have been doing it, I imagine, to support the family?
No, I did have some support. This was just topping up.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't completely supporting the family. No, this was top up.
Oh, okay. Well, that takes a little bit.
I did have some financial support.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we say, you know, there's this idea that we often get that we have to do it all ourselves. And there is a grace in accepting help and in realizing that we don't have to take all the burdens on. So I think that's part of the balancing, right? That's a very important thing to have. I'm wondering, Bet, as we say, you know, you seem to be a brat through and through. And you know, what often happens—
I'll take that as a compliment, Kathy.
Oh, totally it is. When I first heard about you, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to have Bet on my show. Absolutely. It totally is a compliment. And I'm wondering, for those women who, you know, maybe they've kind of, and this happens sometimes, we disconnect from what I call that inner brat. You know, whatever happens sometimes in our lives, maybe we have that oomph, that power when we're kids, when we're young girls, whatever happens, and maybe we're not quite playing from that rooted place, you know, that a brat does from the inside out. You know, it's aligned with who she is, what she does, and very much who she is. What advice would you give a woman who is feeling a little bit scattered that way and would really like to own that and say, this is what I'm doing, and this is the business I want to create, or this is the life I want to create? What advice would you give her?
Well, I've taken a lot of self-help courses and followed a lot of motivational speakers, but I think I would recommend, and I have to some friends that are stuck, please build a vision board. Every day you get in your car, you know exactly where you're going. You get out of bed in the morning and you let life happen. Build a vision board. Know where you want to go. Know where your dreams are. Dream big. Put big dreams out. Like, what do you want? We don't even think what we want. So I just encourage vision boards. I do for my family periodically. In fact, during COVID, I have a lot more people hooking up to vision boards because they have more time and they're stuck and they're thinking about themselves and thinking about their life and, oh, I haven't this and I haven't that. Well, get on it. Get on it.
Exactly. That is, thank you. That is it's so important, right? Because what is it? The Beatles, George Harrison had a song, you know, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, right? It's, you know, but there's so often we're just bumping around like, you know, some little ping pong ball. and by accident landing different places, and then oftentimes not knowing how to get out of it, right? Yeah, I love that. And even these days, we can use video, right? We can look at videos of travel places. We can augment, pictures on a vision board. There are so many ways to create those visuals that are inspiring. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And how far back were you doing vision boards? Like, I feel like I've only known about them for the last maybe 5 years. Have you done something like that for a long time?
Oh, I've been doing it for a long time. I don't know, maybe 20, 25 years I've been doing it, doing them, yes.
Wow. And just like taking pictures and putting them up on a wall so that it's the first thing you see. That kind
Yes, yeah. Actually, there's certain aspects, I forget all the aspects to cover when you're doing a vision board, the 5 or 6 pillars of health, like spirituality, the family relationship, business, health. You have to cover all those aspects of life when you put the board up.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought if you were just working on your business, but they all affect.
Oh, no. It's everything. It's family and your beliefs, your spirituality. Everything goes up on the board. It has to be a balance of everything that you need to go forward in life. I'm looking at my board now.
Can you tell us a couple of things that are on your board by chance?
Well, I've got pictures of Spain. I've got Remax top 5 producers. I've got a $1 million bill stuck up there for the money to get me there because I don't have that yet. And just pictures of Spain and Morocco and different countries, real estate wealth, financial wellness. I've always wanted to go to Oman and Bhutan too. It's still up there. The board takes sometimes a couple of years to go through. One year I put up, I wanted a Mercedes, a CLK, a little sports car. I wanted one. And I put up on my board. And within a couple of years, I get this CLK, but it's blue. I thought, blue, I don't want blue. I don't like blue. I don't like that color. Yeah. He says, well, it's the only color I have. So what do you think? I said, oh, okay, I'll take it, but I don't like blue. I came home and look at my board. There's a blue CLK on my board.
Oh my gosh.
So be careful what you put up because I got a blue car. I did not want blue.
Isn't that hilarious?
I know. Geez, there's a blue car there.
These pictures matter. These colors matter. Oh my God.
Even the color.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a big deal, the color, but it was.
It's so funny because I love the sea and I have pictures of the sea and very specific pictures. And I remember thinking about that, even if I had a little cottage by the sea, how would the cottage look? These are details that I guess the universe pays attention to.
Apparently.
I love it. Thank you so much, Beth. This has been so wonderful. If people are interested in buying or selling some property, how can they reach out to you? Is there a website?
Yes, my website is condos at humberbayshore.com, and I'm with Remax Condos Plus on the lake shore near Humber Bay Shores.
Just west of Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much again. It's been wonderful to have you on the show.
My pleasure, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the interview, click like and subscribe. And share this interview with any brat that you know. And don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll get notified whenever we put out new content. See you soon.